Welcome to the Business Information Buffet podcast, brought to you by the Minority Business Development Agency. Each week, we'll be featuring business owners and entrepreneurs that will provide their personal recipe for business, powerful conversations, and knowledge of the business world. We amplify the stories of various backgrounds, cultures, and expertise. Our self-identity is as diverse as our social community. We cultivate a community of like-minded individuals that share their different perspectives, broadening our worldview. Are you ready? This is the BIB Podcast, where everybody eats.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Welcome back to the Business Information Buffet Podcast, also known as the BIB Podcast, where everybody eats, for another sensational episode. I am your host, Sean Torrey, with our DJ Ice Break.
You go, boy.
For today's episode, we got a cool topic. We're talking about second chance at education with some special guests, some phenomenal women within the community, some phenomenal black women in our community, black queens. So we have a Las Vegas native, community activist, active in CSN communities, and also the chair for the Anti-Black Racism Task Force here at the College of Southern Nevada. She is the program manager for the Southern Nevada Prison Education Program through the College of Southern Nevada. Our other guest we also have is a professor who teaches within the prison program. She's analyst for Nevada Grow. You guys always hear about her, but you don't see her. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the lovely ladies of Southern Nevada Prison Education Program, Shawn Claxton and Sherida Devine. How you ladies doing? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So it's great to have you ladies here today.
Thank you for the invite.
Of course. Thank y'all for joining us. So tell us about the Southern Nevada Prison Education Program. Tell us more about it.
Ooh, where do we start?
Where do y'all?
Well, I can start with a little bit of the history. In 2017, Majority Leader Aaron Ford, who is now our Attorney General, fought to bring back prison education, and they started a pilot program. The prison education program was around formerly, but of course, when the recession hit, that was one of the programs that was eliminated.
Right.
So he fought, and they allotted $300,000 to establish a pilot allowing incarcerated individuals to take college classes and or the opportunity to learn some workforce credentials. So the program was designed where the students were taking ALS, which is Academic Life Skills 101. Okay. And then they had a choice the second semester between COM 101, communications, or workforce credentials. So OSHA 10, OSHA 30, okay. First aid, CPR, and a national flaggers certification. New cohort every year, and it's expanded since then, and we're still looking for it to expand. And the government has now even turned around, because when they passed this latest stimulus package, the Pell Grant was reestablished for incarcerated individuals. So look forward to grow even more.
Okay, so that impacted the incarcerated.
It will.
Oh, it will, in fact.
It will.
This go around.
Not this particular semester, but July 1st, 2023, it has to be in effect.
Oh. So how will it go into effect? Like what exactly will?
So students will then have the opportunity to apply for the Pell Grant.
So for folks who were incarcerated, who are now in education, they have the opportunity now.
Students that are inside,
they're inside,
that are incarcerated will have the opportunity. Okay. So I don't know when. Do you know when it stopped? Years ago, because they used to be able to get the Pell Grant while incarcerated, and it stopped.
Okay,
and they're bringing it back.
And it stopped like overall across the U.S. or just here in Nevada?
Across the U.S.
Okay. Cool. See, that's interesting. So then now that's actually going to open up way more opportunities. So then by the time folks get out, they're able to apply, but then there's still those barriers. So what challenges do folks who come out of prison but have associates, have bachelors, what are some of the challenges they face?
Well, they're not coming home with, I take that back because we just had a gentleman come from Western Nevada Community College and he has an associate's degree, and he's going to work towards another one. But the biggest challenge is, let's think about even housing. Before we can even get to employment, they need a place to stay.
Right.
And there's limitations on where they can stay because of the felony conviction. So they have to, and if they don't have somewhere to go, a family member or, like the drug homes, drug rehabilitation, then they have to remain inside. And if they expire, which means that they will not have probation or parole, their term has completely ran out, they send them out with $25 on the street.
$25?
$25.
We have students that have exited the system.
Yeah.
And they're struggling. They've gone to places, they were only able to live there for a certain amount of time. And when we've talked to them after we've helped them, they're living in their car. They're living on the street. They may be working, but they don't have a place to live. And we don't have any current system that says, here's a place for you to reside until you get back on your feet. So they're hoping and they're struggling, hoping that they won't make whatever decision that got them incarcerated the first time. They're hoping that they do not repeat. And so we try to stay in contact with them to continue to give them hope. Various agencies throughout the city offer small assistance depending upon what they need. So we try to make sure that we give them those tools so that they can develop.
Gotcha.
And they don't end up back incarcerated.
Okay. Go ahead and bring that mic up just a tad way close to you, Shawn. There you go.
So then we also have
because I think when it comes to just in general, not most people don't think about the housing. They think about employment. That's what's mainly seen. I guess you can say in the movies or the reality shows when it comes to people who come out of prison and they're trying to find employment, but they don't even talk about housing like that. And when you do see the housing, there's like board. Sometimes they stay at a house or they're boarded. Is that still going on today, like here within Nevada?
Well, what's interesting is they're going into like the budget suites, which is extremely expensive, but it also puts them right back into the environments that they're, that led to some of those decisions. Yeah. So housing is a major, challenge.
Right.
And then we go into trying to find employment with sustainable income. And it's, even with a degree, it's very hard to get someone to trust you enough. I've even ran into some construction or, jobs within that field, talking to them about giving individuals opportunities. And of course they say, well, it's on a case-by-case basis. I tried even working with our DWED, and they needed to know what were the convictions, how long ago were the convictions, so that they know if and where they can place an individual. So it's really a challenge. It's a sad situation, and we have a long, long way to go. And there's not enough, there aren't enough organizations. There definitely aren't enough beds, and there is not enough funding.
Gotcha. So with all these limitations there within homing, employment, how is it here going into college or going into a trade for our folks that are coming out of the prison system?
So they can go into a trade, like the construction trade. They can go into culinary.
Or a hairstylist. They can do
hairstylist. Of course, they can start their own business.
I was going to ask that next. Yeah. So, like, what?
Many of them have already ran businesses.
They ran business before or after they came out.
Before.
Okay.
I'm happening to be going through and doing a couple business classes for Nevada Grow. We have people that have had construction businesses. They've owned automobile shops. So many of them already have business plans. They're in the middle, and they got wrapped up in some other things, but they're very, very savvy. They're very smart. Think about it. They're smart enough that they tried to usurp the system, and the system, that didn't work. And so many of them know. I was teaching a class. They were able to tell me some things and share some things. So they're very wise. They're very intuitive. You have people that are ex-military. They've retired.
Wow.
You have grandfathers and new dads. I mean, you get some of everything. Everybody's not a gangbanger that came off the street.
I think about
Right. And so when we look at that, many of them they're already ready, or they have somebody holding down their business till they get out,
right?
So they can go back to running what was working for them.
I want to add too, just because someone is incarcerated does not always mean that they intentionally did something to hurt someone. Sometimes, especially when it comes to business, if you don't know all of the business laws, you can find yourself getting, caught up in a situation that you had absolutely no idea about, and you're still going to be held liable.
Right.
So I try to tell people, don't judge. If you don't know the situation, don't judge.
There's a lot of folks that I've known who've went to jail for money laundering, or in not knowing about money laundering or the full effect of it. And then there's people who go to jail from different circumstances, but we always have our prejudices or our thought process of what prison is. And so it kind of just, it sets back a lot of things. It sets our society backwards when it comes to, we have great people who come out of prison and who can do way better than a lot of people who are currently employed. Not saying that no one is not qualified, but to discount someone just because they have a record is crazy to me. And one of the main things I thought about is like, okay, if people are coming out, they're starting business or they had a business, how is it applying for grants? Like how is it going? How does the record affect them from applying for different loans, business loans, things like that? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I can't completely answer to that. Yeah. What I will say is make sure that when you are filling out those applications, you give them truth.
Yeah.
And so you also have an opportunity at times if you are denied or they need additional information. That's the time that you can explain what happened and when it happened. Our job is to get them educated so they understand. At least for me, I teach academic life skills in the fall semester, giving them tools that will help them, whether it's through finance, whether it's teaching them how to money manage, whether it's teaching them time management, teaching them about their IQ and how to use it, how to use your brain wisely, and to give them another set of tools to use. So even in that, every loan, many of them ask questions, but I would just like if you were applying for a job, they'll come back and ask you what your circumstance
were.
And let them, but I would say somewhere there has to be, because even in federal prison, some of those people still come back out and run successful businesses when they have done money laundering and things of that nature. So if that's what, and there may be ways around, maybe you can't, but maybe you're married and you're in a partnership, well, maybe your name can't be on it, but maybe your spouse's name. And so you're still an entity where you can obtain federal, state, governmental funding. So I would say to that person to research. Yeah. To do your research.
Because there's, are there programs out there for folks, for our good people who came out of the incarcerated system, where if they wanted to start a business, are the programs out there for them? Like, hey, this is for you if you want to start your business and you want to learn how to navigate through the system effectively and legally.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I asked Nevada Grows to participate with the prison education program.
See, that's a good loophole.
Advocated for that program, and what better way to utilize the skills, the knowledge and intelligence of this population, but by giving them those tools.
Right.
So that is definitely one. Okay. And, being able to convince someone, because originally it was set up correct me if I'm wrong, but to help businesses, small businesses that were already established. And thankfully, Professor Kevin Rayford, allowed, and Senator Dina Neal is, supporting it as well. So
shout out to them, Assemblywoman Dina Neal and Kevin Rayford. Oh, sick to the good, bro.
So I don't know. I'm not a business person.
No, I got you. But I mean, because it's funny because I know Shawn, she owns a business. I own a few. Curtis over here, he owns a few, DJ Ice Break, and it's something that I think about often, about like how can we work together, and how can we make sure to get people employed, right? And like how can we create those opportunities? So, and that actually segues to our first segment. You ready for our first segment?
Well, one thing I want to say too to any and all businesses out there, including you guys, if you can offer internships, like if there is someone that is interested in broadcasting or whatever the businesses you are in, if you can offer an internship so that they can get in, learn more about it, ask questions, and mentor them, that would be a wonderful component of Nevada Grows and our community.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. We could definitely do that.
And that kind of ties in, since they're already our students.
Yeah,
we make them place them here at CSN to shadow a professor. To shadow someone that's working in maintenance, shadow a business instructor, so that they can get some information and they can become more familiar with the language, the lingo that goes into it. Because running a business, well, first of all, I'll say many of them want to be their own entrepreneur, and that does seem the way that the world is going. But they need to understand because running a business, owning a business, and running a business
two different things, completely different things.
And you can have a perfect plan, but until you begin to execute it, you'll never know.
You never know.
And so those are the things that we have to.
And there's things you learn across the process. I haven't came across any business owners that has one particular way that just worked. They literally, there's certain things they just jumped in, went at it, started learning some things, made mistakes, but got better. That's how you grow. And shout out to NV Grow, because that's what it is purposely for, right? And that's actually going to coincide with our first segment, because our first segment is recipe versus the outcome. Here, now imagine. So this segment we discuss how the journey of the prison program started, right? So how the program started, what challenges it faced, how you were able to overcome some of the adversity, and what was the outcome from it, right? So my first question for you is, can you think of a time that you planned something for the program, right, and it didn't go accordingly? How did you make it work? She thinking right now.
There's been so many. I can tell you, number one, it's funding. Funding is a big issue. And I have advocated for additional funding for the Southern Nevada prison education program. We still have not overcame that barrier. However, I've partnered with College Behind Bars, and which is a production company, and we've done a Zoom webinar addressing those issues. I am also a part of the Nevada Prison Education Project, where we're looking to create a pipeline from prison with the community colleges to the universities. I've fought to change this was one of the things, and it was a long battle. So originally I told you about the workforce credentials.
Yeah, the workforce credentials.
And what I noticed when looking at the data was we only had like 2 or 3 people out of 150 that were even utilizing the national flaggers certification.
Got you.
Being a steward over state funds, that was not a wise investment or choice.
Right.
And that's why I advocated also for Nevada Grows. So it's still a lot of barriers. there's a lot that needs to change. The structure, for instance, is different down south than it is up north.
Yeah.
And that is eating into the budget, whereas they don't have those same challenges
Up north.
up north.
Got you.
So they're able to offer a lot more. For instance, and I don't want to go into like all the challenges and everything, you know,
I got you.
but they have a much smaller facilities, and we have majority of the incarcerated population and all the women in the state.
Down south than opposed to up
Down
north.
south, yes. So another issue is the women do not have nearly the amount of training opportunities as the men.
Right.
And so one thing that I was able to, I found someone that is advocating on behalf of our program, and they told me that they're getting ready to send a check for $20,000.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get that, send that money, bucko.
So that we can offer the women more college courses.
Okay.
So, and you know, we still have to go through the process to get that approved and everything. Another thing that was a barrier was technology. They were teaching classes with just a whiteboard, markers, pencil, paper, book.
Gotcha.
That's it. And so I was able to, and we still haven't been able to use them, but we were able to get a laptop.
Well, due to COVID, you couldn't use them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
COVID was extremely challenging.
It was extremely
yes.
challenging. Yeah.
So we were able to get that. And then for the first time in Nevada's history, I was able to get laptops and a secured server inside. So we've ordered those, and then that's going to be brought into High Desert and Florence McClure. So those are just some of the challenges and some of the things that, you know, I've been able to try to circumvent the issues. And it's an ongoing, you know, we're dealing with bureaucracies, and we're dealing with a state that isn't as productive, progressive as other states. So the beauty is people are starting to realize what's going on across the country. Nevada is warming up to the idea of giving second chance individuals an opportunity. So, yeah.
That was a lot for just that, because I'm just like, to your challenges, I'm saying, challenges.
That's not all of them.
Listen. That means that, listen, whoever's watching this episode, I'm looking at that camera. You can't see me on this other one, but I just hope y'all hear these challenges and we figure out something. It's gonna take time, but I think these are concerns that we need to think about, because sometimes when I wouldn't say we, but when our elected officials make certain decisions, we're not in those spaces to talk about what's going on, and that's the issue. So policies, funding is getting allocated here, there, and everywhere else, but not understanding the full extent to what is actually needed. So, but the problem is time always goes against us, and we're not sitting here talking to the people we need to. So whoever's watching this, I pray that you really pay attention, or bring the right people into the conversation. Instead of just like, you can, it's always great to have your director or whoever the manager is, or at the time, but the folks who are doing the grunt work is who you need to talk to.
Correct.
You know, because half the time when you report certain things, you're reporting numbers, you're reporting this, and there's that hierarchy, but you're not talking about the actual common sensical challenges that we think about, right? So my next question for you is, what are some things you've experienced that could have worked out in theory, but did not go that way in practice?
I'll start on this. I teach in the prison, so Rita is the manager, and she tries to get everything together so we can go in. Being an instructor and trying to actually teach a class, COVID was a prime example. We ran into we didn't get to start class to about 5 or 6 weeks after the semester started.
Oh, so that's already it down.
Right. And then to do a almost like a cram session with them, because it is more of a one-on-one.
Right.
So first of all, when we go into the prison, we go into the prison to teach them normally. We are down deep in the prison. It's not like they come up and we meet them. We go down to their cell.
You go to them.
They actually have a room.
Yeah.
And being able to have them come in, you need the interaction with them. COVID put us into a place where we had to do it telecommute.
Right.
And we couldn't see them all. So it was like a small table, and if I have 12 people and I can only see 5 of them, the rest of them are somewhere on the sides, and trying to get them to change the room around or open it up so we could see more students, or we're having to abide by COVID rules and regulations. It was very, very tough. Man. And then they go on lockdown. That is major. If lockdown happens in the system,
you're not going nowhere.
And they're not coming to you,
nope.
And you're just off for a matter of weeks. And then when they're open, we get them back for a week or 2, then they go back on lockdown. And so trying to stay on top of that and provide them information till finally they were like, just send us the work, we'll have them do it. But it was like so hard to keep them motivated. Yeah. And they will write I have my students write journals. Yeah. And one of the things they hated the most was lockdown. Yeah. And school became their outlet. Yeah. And they will complain about all the things and the homework that you give them. Yeah. But they'll come prepared. After they finish complaining, they come prepared. Right. And knock out everything they need to. So for an instructor, that's very hard. That's a big challenge, because we can't give them the tools and the information that they need so that they can come out. Because they get a grade for this. This is not like they're just getting a free class. Right. They actually get an A, a B, a C, an F, whatever you earn. Whatever, just as if you were sitting in our classroom here at CSM. Right. So we have not mastered when something happens, how to keep the classroom flowing. Got you. So and that takes time. That's what's growth, right? That's the part of the magic that comes about. So it's not like you're gonna get it right all the way 100% perfect. But I can give y'all flowers, because what y'all doing right here is magical.
I want to add also, when those that have come home, there are additional barriers that they're facing with the transition to college. For instance, depending on how long they have been in there, cell phones have changed, technology has changed, the college has changed. They don't understand how to apply for financial aid. They don't know what Canvas is. They don't know how to reactivate or activate an account. And that takes a lot of time, literally, because when they first come, they contact me, and then I have to make sure all these things are in place before I can send them to Ms. Claxton. Now, the beauty is Ms. Claxton is in the counseling department, and she's dedicated herself. The department has allowed her to dedicate herself to the prison education population. And I'm slowly but surely finding individuals in different departments to help this particular population. So a contact in counseling, a contact in financial aid, a contact at the registrar's office, a contact with career and transfer services, so that there is individuals where I can do that soft handoff. Because when we don't apply the case management that a lot of people don't necessarily get, we lose them. We lose them. They already have so many barriers and things against them. And people not understanding, when you have parole, you have to go, you got to sit down there, you got to follow everything that they're saying. And now all of a sudden you want to add college onto it. They want it, but when you have to do A, B, C, D through Z with parole and home and family, and now you're adding college to it. Right. So I prepare them. Yeah. And then I do the soft handoff. And so that's another barrier. Another thing is we have to do a better job at working on our policies at the college for them, because some of them are getting collection notices for not being residents at the state of Nevada residents. So there's a lot of those different little nuances that we're still working through.
I was going to say, and currently we're not a felon friendly state.
Oh yeah,
There are many
Very
states that work, and they have so many things already in place that Sherida and I, year before last, went to a conference, and most of the conference that we went to, the presenters were ex-offenders, and that have gotten their bachelor's and master's, and they're running programs in their own colleges now, and they were able to help. And just the information, I was like, oh my gosh, we're so far.
Oh yeah, Nevada's not there yet, and I pray it does. I remember going to a conference in DC, and someone was representing it. He killed it. Like it was in front of thousands of people, and he was rocking it. Like I'm telling you, like that's why like traveling and going to different conferences, you see how much like okay, we still have some growth to do. And so I commend you again. I commend y'all all because I used to work for Nevada Partners back in the day. So I used to go up to Spring Mountain all the time, work with those youth up there. So I understand a lot of the struggles you guys are talking about because I remember grabbing certain groups at a time, and I'm there for like 5-6 hours at some point trying to get them to do something on the computer. And then if something locks down or something happens, they have to pull them, and there's nothing you can do, and you might have to come back and try it again tomorrow. And there's no guarantee that kid will be here or he gets sent back down to Bananas and Pecos. So it's like all those, but like it's different from the prison system, but that is the juvies. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, man, I salute y'all.
But sometimes that does happen to us. We'll have a student today.
Yeah. And they go home.
Thursday, one day I came in, I was like, where's so-and-so? And where's so-and-so? They had gotten into a fight with each other.
Yeah.
And so they were pulled from the program.
Yep.
So those are the types of things that you're always battling. You don't know who's going to be there.
You don't know who's going to be there. Yep.
From time to time. You asked what was one of my biggest, our challenges. And one is, when you go into the prison, if they go on lockdown, you go on lockdown too.
Yeah, I've been that happened before. I know that. I was like, dog, and then you don't got no cell phone reception, so then you're like, man,
you don't even have a cell phone.
You don't have a cell phone, so it's kind of like, all right, whatever happens.
Right. And then they'll move the students. You know, we have no control over. They can be in class. We've already paid for it. The class is going, and all of a sudden, Ms. Claxton will come to class and she's letting me know such and such was sent over to camp or another facility, and that's money wasted. But it's also, it jeopardizes them because now we got to give them a W, which can turn around later and jeopardize satisfactory academic progress.
Gotcha.
We have had some students that have chosen to stay, though. Instead of going to camp, they chose to stay another few months so that they could finish the programs that we were offering them.
And they stopped it. Man. Won't let them anymore.
But ladies, thank y'all so much for giving us that magic, because it's a lot. That was heavier than I expected. Because now it's time for us to get into the hot seat, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to ask these questions. Okay? So this segment, we provide in-depth questions to learn more about you as a guest, right? So this is our opportunity to ask you back-to-back questions. So you got to be quick here. Y'all ready?
Okay.
All right, ladies. Who do you look up to growing up?
I looked up to my Uncle Percy.
Percy!
Yes.
Sound like a player.
Uncle Percy Devine. He's from Nevada.
Okay.
But he was the first in my family to get his master's degree.
Salute.
And what is he? He's now one of the regional directors for aging with the country. So
you better give him some pros. How about you, Sean?
I looked up to my father, to my dad. My dad is now deceased, but he's ex-military.
Which branch?
Air Force.
Air Force, salute.
He was a senior master sergeant, and we had 5 children, and my dad would go to work. My mom didn't work because my dad didn't want her to. So he would go to work, he'd come home, bathe us, pray with us, and then he'd go back out and he would go to school. We lived in Ohio at the time, so I looked up to my father.
Wow.
Okay. Next question. What's one habit you do daily?
Pray.
Coffee!
She do got the Dutch Bros in the building, ladies. Favorite tool you use to help run your program?
You said favorite tool?
Favorite tool that you use to help run your program. It could be a gym, skill set, whatever. What type of tool do you use that helps run your program?
I use my intuition.
Ooh, that intuition. That sounds like that magic right there. Go ahead. How about you, Sean?
I'm on the computer. I need my computer to help navigate.
Let's go ahead and navigate that computer real quick. All right, what's the best part of working what is the best thing about your work ethic?
Well, I'm just dedicated. I am dedicated to education for one. So that's first and foremost.
You better go ahead, Miss Sherida. How about you, Shawn?
Transformation. I love seeing a student transform.
Yes.
I love them walking into the classroom, and by the second or third week, they're so engaged. And by the end of the semester, they want to know, did I get an A? Did I get a B? Do I get my credit for this class? I love the transformational stage.
Man, salute. What's the worst part about your work ethic?
Ooh.
My work ethic?
Yeah. I asked what was the best. Now what's the worst part?
I can get too engaged.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
Doing too much. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you
doing
mean.
too much and not taking time for myself.
Lord, that's the definition of Shawn Torrey. Go ahead.
I'm going to say sometimes lack of focus.
Ooh,
because we can get off on one thing and forget about what we need to be doing over here to make everything come together.
Okay. Well, ladies and gents, y'all made it through the hot seat. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad?
No, it wasn't.
All right, because now we got to take y'all to that sauce.
You don't got no sauce, then you're lost.
Lost in the sauce.
You also get lost in the sauce.
So in this segment, it gives us more insight of our guests, where we ask, what's your special ingredient for your program? So tell us why nobody can duplicate what you do, okay? So tell us, what makes Southern Nevada Prison Education Program a program nobody can duplicate what you do?
First and foremost, no one can duplicate me.
Absolutely.
She said nobody can duplicate her.
And I say that because I bring a perspective that everyone doesn't have.
Okay.
I could have been incarcerated myself.
Right.
My father was in prison. My siblings were in prison. My son is now going through the system himself, and I had a child murdered.
Yeah.
So I have so many different perspectives of the criminal injustice, and yes, I said it, system.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me unique, because I can really understand this system from so many different levels.
Let's give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. How about you, Miss Shawn?
For me to be able to be a African American woman and to go into the prison system
Talk that talk.
I'm not in the women's prison. I teach at High Desert with security.
You teach at High Desert. I know High Desert.
And so to be able to walk in there and to be able to hold your own, and some days people are like, "Are you scared?" It's like, you can't afford to be scared.
Yeah, you can't. You got to be with it.
And to go on lockdown and have to stay sometimes 30, 40 minutes because you don't know what's going on.
Right.
Just to be able to know that I am making a difference. Sherida said I'm the best Shawn Claxton that there is. There's not another one.
You better talk.
There's another somebody, but it's not me.
But it ain't you. You better
I try to give them the fun experience of learning and not letting it be cumbersome. So I teach them just as if they were in my classrooms here. I don't make them sit. Let's get up. Let's move around. Let's do group activities. Let's write on big Post-its on the wall.
Right.
I try to let them experience what we would do in college life because they are college students and they're learning. So.
Amen to that.
And she not soft.
We know Miss Shawn Claxton ain't no soft.
And they come out looking for.
We gonna give them another round of applause because they gave us that magic with a little bit of that sauce, ladies and gentlemen. Because now we heading to the last part of the episode, ladies, where we take a toast to y'all. It is that happy hour, ladies and gentlemen. In this segment, this is where the host and the guests, we take a toast with outsider to whatever's going on great with y'all right now, okay? So, ladies, anything big or small, what is something that is going great for your business that's worth celebrating? What's going well? Tell us what's going well.
With our business?
Oh, not the program, sorry.
Well, as far as the program, we're definitely, we have technology coming in.
Y'all got that techies. Thank, congratulations. Anything else?
And we have a new cohort of students getting ready to enter.
Got some new cohorts. Y'all getting some new technology, some more students. Y'all better bless up, ladies. So toast to you ladies on success. I pray nothing but the best for the prison program. I've known y'all both for a long time now. And I better see greatness, nothing but greatness for you, queen.
Nothing but.
Toast to y'all. Toast DJ. Boom, boom. Tail. Yes, indeed. Shot. Of apple cider, ladies. Of apple cider.
Absolutely.
So, ladies, first and foremost, thank you both so much for being on the podcast. It's been an honor. It's been a great conversation. And I learned a lot today from you both and the struggles and the challenges and how you guys are overcoming the adversity within the program. Is there any way you guys can do your selfish plugs right now for the people so where they can find y'all?
You can find me on Facebook as Ifarike Orikemi Shango Torera. That is my Yoruba name.
Ashe. Go ahead.
Ashe. You can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, Sherida Devine or Born Divine.
You can find me at the College of Southern Nevada. That is what I do in the daytime. On Facebook, Instagram. I am Destination Movement and Logistics. That is my business.
You better go talk that talk, ladies.
Shawn Wilson Claxton. And Just Me I Am is coming to you soon.
Man, thank y'all ladies so much. We've had a phenomenal time. And ladies and gents, that is and it concludes the episode for today. This is the Business Information Buffet Podcast, also known as the BIT Podcast, where everybody eats. I am your host, Sean Torrey, with our DJ Ice Break. And we are out, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.